What it was. Y'all know who it is. And y'all tuned in with Priceless Knowledge Itself. And I figured I'd put y'all down with one more dose of this cosmic insight today. And say, man, it's still Friday. So we're going to continue on with these rising signs or ascendants. And this time, it's probably going to get a little sexy. It might even get a little dark. Because this is a little something about those people that have Scorpio rising in their natal chart. And before I even go there, I'm going to chop it up with y'all about a few things first. And then I'll also give y'all a little bit about the meaning of the ascendant in astrology. So let's get it cracking, huh? And so the things I want to chop it up with y'all about first is, if y'all see any similarities between this video and my Pluto in the first house video, you should, because it's almost exactly the same thing. Mars makes it a little bit different, but when Pluto's in that first house, you're a Scorpio rising. Because Pluto is so magnetic. It's so strong. You got to understand that. And it's a motherfucker. The only difference is, with me being a Libra rising, Venus is my chart ruler. But Pluto being in my first house and being the way it is, I have a Pluto dominant chart. And we'll talk about that later on. We'll break into that, okay? I just wanted y'all to understand that, yeah, this is going to have a lot of similarities with that Pluto in the first house video. You should go check that one out, and you will see the parallels, man. But it's not exactly the same thing. So that's cool. And as far as the ascendant goes, so the ascendant or the rising sign, it's the sign that was rising from the east at the exact moment that you were born. And whatever degree that is at, whatever is wherever the first house of your chart begins. So yeah, it's the rising sign that kind of sets the table for your chart. It puts all the houses in place, which can really tell the story of your life if you allow it to, man. Pardon me. And it plays a big part in the big three, which consists of the sun, the moon, and the rising, which really make up the basis of all of our personalities. So the ascendant is how you come across to others, you know. It's your outward personality. It's the sign that you seem like to other motherfuckers. Like, when they see you, they'll be like, oh, that's a Scorpio. Or, oh, that's a Leo. Or, oh, that's a Cancer. It's kind of like that, because that's the energy that you're projecting. In whatever sign, whatever planet that rules the sign that's your ascendant, that's called your chart ruler. And if you pay attention to wherever your chart ruler is, whatever house that's in your chart, it'll really give you a little insight into how motherfuckers rock and how their personality is and how to deal with them. And just remember that, you know, the ascendant is the vehicle that you use to get to the sun sign, whereas the moon is kind of the engine. You know, the ascendant is the mask you put on every morning. It's the personality that you outwardly project. It's a lot to do with how you look and a lot of your physical traits also. It's just, you know, when you ride by a house, it's the yard and the shutters and the windows and how the front door is painted and how the house is painted and maybe how the gate looks and the house looks. It's not really what's inside, man. Okay? That kind of gives you a little insight into what's going on with that. So let's talk about these Scorpio risings or Scorpio ascendants. Well, the number one word that comes to mind for me about them or us is intensity, because they ooze raw intensity. They're magnetic in that way. They ooze so much intensity that it can be off-putting. Like, when they walk into a room, you notice it. You notice it. You feel it. They have that type of energy. You know what I mean? And that doesn't necessarily mean a good or a bad thing, but oftentimes it does. They're the people that as soon as you hate them, as soon as you see them, you either love them or you hate them probably. Like, they rub people the wrong way, or they just like, man, I want to get a taste of him or get a taste of her. Like, and there's also like something unsettling about their presence too. Like, man, when they come around, man, you feel it. And also on top of that, as we always talk about with Scorpio rising, you know, them eyes, man. Like, they gonna look at you and look through you. And their eyes might even be a little bit dark, or they could even be lighter or color, but they're gonna be piercing. Like, they're gonna look right into your soul every time they deal with you. And they're gonna be the type of person that always wants to look you in your eye. Like, that's just how they tell if you're telling the truth, or if you're authentic or being genuine. Like, when you say something to them and they feel it, they're gonna look up at you. And when they look up at you, like, it ain't no lying. It ain't no lying, because they can see your soul bared to them. Okay? And even if you get away with the lie right then, you ain't gonna get away with it later, because they have a spiritual knowing, a spiritual understanding, and an emotional intelligence that is uncanny. You understand? They know. They understand the depth of feelings. They understand people. They understand the nastiness that dwells within human beings. And they're comfortable with it. They understand it because their nature comes from that. And does that mean they're bad people or they're nefarious people? No, they can be, but we all can be. No, that means that, man, they understand that everybody's fucked up in their way. Okay? Like, they might have a cold, calm, calculated demeanor outwardly, but inwardly, there's a storm brewing below the surface. Like, they have a depth of feeling that is crazy, man. Nobody feels deeper than that. You understand? And they've probably had a lot of traumatic experiences, whether they did it to themselves or outside events. And I want to say something else. Scorpio is very sexual energy. So from a very young age, like, they have a sexual energy. And I know that's hard to understand, but a lot of things ain't to be understood. That's why a lot of the times that they have fucked up sexual abuse happen to them as little kids, or they go through sexual experiences at a very young age, because they were born with sexual intensity. Like, that's just what it is, man. That's what the part of their aura is, man. And they understand those things from birth. Like, hey, man, this is a person that they feel so deeply. And a lot of the times the shit that's happening to them, I'm not saying they cool with it, but they might accept it because they accept the deepest, darkest parts of the human nature, man. And also, like, they could be obsessive, and, you know, they might have to deal with obsession with people. People are going to deal with them like that, because once they get with them, like, there's a soul bonding experience. It's very, very possessive, man. And these people are strong, man. I'm talking about emotionally strong. I'm talking about physically strong. They have a strength that you might not see. They might not look strong, but oftentimes they do, because a lot of the times Scorpio Ascendant is going to have a little build to them. Like, they're going to look like and come across as sturdy people. You understand? This is fixed water. And I can also say this with confidence, that Scorpio rising is probably the strongest placement that there is in the whole zodiac. You get what I mean? Like, you gonna notice a Scorpio rising, and you gonna know that they are Scorpio rising. That energy is crazy, man. I can also say that Scorpio rising people, they really know the power of silence. They will sit there and let your ass assume whatever the fuck you want to assume, and won't say shit, because they really don't share their personal feelings. They're very mistrustful of people. They don't want to trust motherfuckers. They don't want to let you into that depth, because they know, man, once they expose their soul, like, a lot of the times it's to protect you. And hey, don't think that they're Vikings either, even though they can be, because with Scorpio rising, with their water flowing deep like that, a lot of the times they're smooth operators, man. They know how to move underneath the radar. That's what Scorpios are all about. They know how to maneuver in the underworld, man, because that's where they come from. Also, when we talk about these eyes, when you looking at them, like, they're the type of motherfucker that can make you squirm with the glare. They really can. They can make you squirm, man. And they're not attention seeking like Leo. They're attention grabbing in an Aquarian way almost. But, like, yeah, when they come in, you're like, man, who the fuck is that? Who is that nigga? You know what I'm saying? Because they got that type of energy. You know what I mean? And they really don't share their personal feelings a lot. They are very protective of their privacy. And that's crazy. Their energy is so crazy that they can cause equipment malfunctions and all kinds of shit, especially if they have Pluto in that first house. And they can be, because of this understanding of emotions and also this obsession that they have and a lot of the insecurities they have about their depth of feelings, like they can be, you know, some of the most manipulative people that there are. Like they know how to work feelings. And even though they're usually impervious to being lied to, you know, in a big way, like they know how to play with your emotions, and they will. And a lot of the times it's to protect themselves, or in other times it's to possess you. You understand? They're empathic. They're usually introverted people that keep their shit to themselves, man. And so I could go on and go on because there's so much depth to Scorpio rising. But now we're going to set the table with these houses, man. Because we got other shit we got to do. You understand? So the first house is Scorpio. It is ruled by Mars and Pluto, but mostly Pluto. And that kind of everything that we just talked about. We're talking about piercing eyes, tattoos, you know, intense aura, you know, and a depth that you can just sense, you know, very secretive and private. You know, you're going to either love them or hate them off the rip. You know what I'm saying? They probably having a very dark personality, or at least it borders on the darker side, at least. You understand? And then, you know, you might have people that are extremely sexy or have an unsettling presence. You know what I mean? Maybe even muscles. Like they're going to come across as sturdy people, strong jawline. In males, maybe a beard, you know what I mean? Like, they're masculine in a way. And in females, they're not masculine. Like, they're sexy. They're strong feminine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're like Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct. Like that. You know what I'm saying? And so, that's that first house. And like I said, we kind of talked about that already. The second house, this is Sagittarius. I also want to go back and say they probably wear a lot of black and red or purple. And, you know, they really want to look people in their eye and gauge their sincerity. And they're not ones for small talk. So the second house, Sagittarius, that means it's ruled by Jupiter. And so you make money off your beliefs, maybe. And maybe from a foreign source too. And you could have inherited money from your in-laws or maybe even your grandparents. And I'll also say that no matter what you go through, because you probably go through a lot of financial ups and downs, like you are always optimistic about money because you know it's going to come and go, man. Like you value wisdom and knowledge, and you feel like the dice will always turn in your favor financially. You know what I mean? So you're always willing to gamble a little bit. You know what I mean? And you do make gains because of it. That positivity that you have as far as finances go, you know, there's things that definitely could aspect this, but it usually pays off for a Scorpio rising. These are power people because they've seen the depths. These are the type of people that could go from rags to riches. Like they could go from nothing to something just like that. And then they could also go from something back to shit and then build it back up. And that's just how this is the Phoenix rising. And that also applies with them in their finances. You get what I mean? Like with Sagittarius though, it's about their beliefs. They believe that it'll go better for them, and they're positive about their money. I could say that. And so the third house is Capricorn. And I could say that you were probably real tough on your siblings, maybe even cold, but you really just wanted to teach them shit. And you only talk when it really means something. Like, you know, the value of silence. Like, you don't do a whole bunch of bumping. You ain't about the small talk. Like, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense for you. Even in the sense that if we're talking about some emotional shit, like you want to cut right to the chase. You don't want to talk about the weather. You don't want to talk about how their cousin was doing or, you know what I mean? How this went or how that went. Like when somebody comes up to you, man, tell me what the fuck you want, man, because I can see your intentions. You got to understand that also. When they look at you, like, they can sense your intentions. Like, they might not know what you're lying about, but they know your ass is lying. They know your ass is lying. And so they see your intentions. So don't come up on them on some bullshit, because they don't want to deal with bullshit. I can also say that, you know, they want to see something tangible from their thoughts, and they talk like a boss. They think like a boss. So eventually they probably will be bosses, because so I think it, so therefore I am. You know how that shit goes. And so the fourth house is Aquarius. And you probably felt like an outsider within your family. You know, you probably didn't have a stable home, or it was very unconventional or different than everybody else's. You know, your personal life is always changing, you know, but you also are the type that learns from your mistakes. And if your family and home wasn't stable then that's something that's what you want to do now. Like, you want to make sure it is. But I also say that with Aquarius in the fourth house, like, that's not a comfortable place for Aquarius to be. So you probably had a rough home life. It just felt different. You felt weirder than everybody else. Maybe you just had a different understanding. Like, you were different than everybody else, and you had unconventional parenting, man, in a broader sense. And so your fifth house is Pisces. And see, I have my moon in the fifth house in Pisces. And I say that you are a daydreamer, and you're probably very musical talented, or you probably are very great at acting, and your imagination, like, you probably can't do a lot of shit without you can't play video games. Like, you're the one that's over there acting it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you watch movies, like, you feel it. You cry. When you step on stage, they feel you. Like, when you put on a show, when you use some kind of creative expression, it reflects your rich inner life, and you're able to bring healing to people through that, through the way that you create and entertain, because you kind of are an entertainer at heart, because the fifth house rules over the heart. So, and Pisces is here. So you are a healer in the way that you entertain, and you also daydream, and, you know, you really have this imagination that is just like on 50, not fucking on 10, it's on 50 million. And so your sixth house, this is Aries. And I say that you probably stay ready to keep from getting ready. Like, you stay in fighting condition. These are people that are probably in excellent physical condition. And, you know, the sixth house also represents enemies. You probably have a lot of enemies, and shit is contemptuous. Like, I say that you probably work out too, and like getting out in a workout routine, like, that's something that comes natural for you. And also, like, at work, like, you have a lot of conflicts at work. And so you probably don't work well for other people. What the sixth house Aries shows me is that you do well working for yourself as an entrepreneur, or maybe, you know, doing something where you're working from yourself. And also, this shows me that you tell it like it is, and that causes a lot of problems in your relationships and at home and everything else you're dealing with. And so the seventh house is Taurus, and this is your relationships. It's ruled by Venus. And hey, it's at home here though. And so you're probably very possessive in your relationships. I could say that. You're attracted to calm and sturdy people who express a lot of Venetian qualities. Like, you ain't gonna go with nobody that ain't attractive to you. And you're attractive to motherfuckers with money, with motherfuckers that, you know, have something to bring to the table tangibly. Like, that's what you want. And hey, with this Scorpio and Taurus polarity, man, like, whew, this goes deep. Like, y'all have some deep soul merging experiences. And it also shows me that your relationships are extremely important to you. Like, your relationships, like, you can have good, beautiful relationships that are harmonious if you apply yourself in them. And that's awesome. It's not the same as that Libra rising, where my shit is fucked up because it got that both ways, where I have Aries 7th house and, you know, all this other stuff where, you know, it's always some shit. With these two, it ain't always some shit, because Scorpio kind of knows. And as long as the Taurus energy that's coming into it is as sturdy as it needs to be, it really brings a lot of balance here. So that's a good thing for them. And your 8th house, you know, this is sex, death,
transformation, how you rocking that way, your secrets. This is Gemini. And I happen to have the Black Moon Lilith, Charlico, and Chiron, all in 8th house Gemini. So I'm familiar with this. And this says that you love to discuss occult topics. Like you even, have become obsessed in your life with learning about occult things that have to do with sex. And you could even make a profession out of things of a sexual nature. I could say that, and maybe some of us have. But it also says that, you spend a lot of time thinking and talking about life after death. And, you're not one for small talk. Like the 8th house is death and Gemini is small talk. So this brings death. This kills the small talk. Like you're not really about that. It also shows that you can be very manipulative in the way that you speak. And you do hold people's secrets well. When people tell you their secrets, it's locked away. It goes in the 8th house. It ain't coming out. And you have a lot of secrets. You are very secretive and you could talk all day long there, but ain't nobody getting past surface level unless you allow them to. And you hardly allow anybody to get past surface level. And so your 9th house is Cancer. And I have Sun in Cancer in the 9th house. And so what this says is that you're here to nurture people and to learn from experiences that you have in your home life. And also this, you want to travel with your family. It could say that. And you probably had a Cancer grandparent. I could say that. And also you learn from your family. Your family taught you everything. And the way that you learn things or the way that you teach things is very loving. And you just want to help. And you don't care much about money. Your philosophy is based on emotions. And, that's what that 9th house Cancer is all about. And so when we move on to the 10th, the 9th was your beliefs also, and it's ruled by Jupiter. The 10th house for the Scorpio ascendant is Leo. And you're meant to take center stage, even though you're an introvert. And whether you try to or not, your ass is kind of a show off. You know how to come across. And see me, I have Mercury and Venus in Leo in the 10th house. So there you go. And so, you're not one of the most outwardly expressive motherfuckers that they are. But you can't hide who the fuck you are because you seem like a ball of light to people. That energy is undeniable. And so you're usually put in places in leadership positions in your profession. Wherever you work at, for some reason with that Leo midheaven, you shoot to the top quickly. You're made to be the king, man. When I say Scorpio rising is a strong placement, this a motherfucker, man. It puts you in a position for success if you utilize the energy the right way. You dig? And so your 11th house, this is Virgo. And, you're calculated about the motherfuckers that you surround yourself with. You don't fuck with everybody. And when you're down with the group, you're the organizer. People look to you to tend with the details. You're somebody that they know that they can count on within your little community or group or gang or whatever it is. And you keep it real. You're shrewd with the way that you handle things, and everybody knows that, you stay back and you don't fuck with everybody, and you're somebody that you need to talk to when you want to get your shit right. You're respected in that way. Also, lastly, your 12th house is Libra, man. And, you're always thinking about your relationships. And maybe that's why that 7th house Taurus, it helps out. This is Venus and Venus. And regardless of your outward projection, when you got a Libra 12th house, that means you have a beautiful mind. That means that the way that you think is really about others. And, you're here to help. And you really ain't conflicted inside your mind. You're well balanced within your mind. You understand what the fuck is really going on between the physical and the non-physical. Like, you see shit for what it is. And that's really what Scorpio rising is all about. You are able to use those piercing eyes you have and see through the bullshit. And hey, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, hey, just because you built like that, it don't mean you have to build like that. But when you a Scorpio rising, man, you got a lot of shit that you might need to build with in order to make it successful in this life, man. I respect the shit out of this placement. Really, I respect the shit out of our placements. You know, me being half Libra rising, half Scorpio rising, or just being a Libra rising with Pluto in the first house, whatever the fuck it is, man. Like, I feel this energy very deeply. And a lot of y'all that have this placement, y'all feel it, man. It's projected you through this life and you can't escape it. But all the negative shit that's there, like I said, remember, just because you build like that, don't mean you got to build like that. And there's been some priceless knowledge of self, man. If y'all fucking with me, please like, share, subscribe, man. Hit that like button. Even if you don't fuck with the video that much and you just think I'm cool, hit that like button. Let me get out there and help somebody. Even if you think I'm a chump and you just think the video information was dead spot on. Hey, man, hit that like button. Let me get out there and help somebody else, man. Even if you like my other shit and this one wasn't and all that, hit that like button. Let me go help somebody else, man. Because that's what I'm about. Helping. Helping. Hey, I appreciate all the love and support. If y'all interested in the astrological readings whatsoever, I always say whatsoever, but whatsoever, y'all can either hit me up in the comments below or email me at mr.turner1300@gmail.com. And hey, man, until next time, y'all keep it trill. I said drill. I'm tripping, but hey, man, I love y'all. Y'all keep it trill, and I'm still struggling to change as I always am, man.